In this video, we're going to be doing rear brakes on a 1996 Mustang Cobra. I already got the car jacked up, safety stand underneath. We're going to remove the wheel. On the rear calipers, there's two bolts. Get the caliper off, one here and one down here. Pad should just pop right out. Now I have to take off the caliper bracket. There's a bolt here and a bolt here. They both got to come out. This caliper bracket will come off. To get the rotor off, just going to smack it with the hammer. So I've run into a problem. I don't have the tool to screw this caliper back in. So I'm going to have to do this by hand with a pair of pliers and see if I can get this to screw in. And if this doesn't go in, it's going to need calipers in the rear. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm using the C-clamp, put a little bit of pressure on the piston. As I screw it in, it'll assist it to go back in. Be careful with this boot so you don't rip it. Pain in the butt, but it can't be done without the special tool. There we go. All right, now as you can see, she's all the way down. Now these two notches have to be in line with the caliper here. It's the only way I can explain it. So I'm going to turn it back just a little bit, just to line it up. And that looks good right there. If you can't get this to go in, then you're going to need a new caliper. But obviously this one's still fine. Got lucky. Now I'm going to clean this all up. See these slides? They're frozen in there. This one moves, but this one doesn't. So this slide has to come out. See if we can get this rubber off of here. Because I don't want to melt this rubber. There we go. Now I gotta turn this back inside out the way it was. If I can. go. Now this thing is stuck in there pretty badly. Little PB blaster. Let that soak in there. Get a vice grip, see if we can work it out of there without heating it up. Oh, we are gonna have to throw some heat on that bad boy. Come on, baby. Almost out. There we go. Woo! Look at all that rust in there. Now, when she's all cleaned up, nice and smooth. Knock all this out. Good amount of caliper grease on there. Alright. Okay. Now I gotta get the rubber boot back on. There we go. I was able to save the bracket. Last thing I'm going to do is clean the inside of this where the pads go. Now these rotors, they are marked rear, passenger side, and this is the passenger side that I'm doing, so that goes on there. I like to take a lug nut and put it on just to hold the rotor in place. Bracket's gonna go on next with the 2 bolts. Same way we took it off. Bracket's on. 2 bolts are tight. Now we got to get the pads in. One thing about the pads, these are ceramic pads, and I believe the ceramic pads are the best on the market. They don't squeak like metallic pads, and they create less dust. Now before we get these pads in, we have to put the hardware on. This is a hardware kit, and it's just a matter of a few clips. The hardware goes on the ends. Now I don't know if I can explain this, but here's your clip, here's the end, and it just goes on straight on the pad. And it should lock into the pad. Then your pad goes onto a piece in the back there. It's a pain in the buttocks, but There we go. There we go. And then the other pad, same thing. Hardware clip. This little piece where it's like open will go towards the pad material. Just like that. Same with this side. Just like that. And then gotta get that in there. It's always gotta be one that's tougher than the other. Always. Always. There we go. Okay. Make sure they're in good. Alright. Now the caliper has hardware on it too, which is this piece right here. We're going to pop that out. There we go. Now, I'm going to put the new one in. This long piece has to go in first, right? So slide it in that way. Then, you take a screwdriver. Oh, come on. Don't pop out. Then we take the screwdriver. We got to get this line into here. There we go. Now it's clipped in. That's what it looks like on the inside. I don't know if you can see it, but it's hard to turn. So there it is. So now, this basically is just going to go right over the pads. Now we take our bolts. I'm just going to screw them back on. Okay. Bolts are in. Tighten this back up. Now that caliper's moving nicely, remove this nut and put the wheel back on. Last thing, you want to get in the car, pump the brake up so you get a good pedal. Check your master cylinder, make sure the fluid is maxed. And if you look on the side, it'll say max right here, and the fluid level is right where it should be, so we are good. And that's all there is to rear brakes on this 96 Ford Mustang Cobra. Both sides are the same. Now you got to make sure those slides for the caliper are not frozen up. And that caliper, you got to make sure it goes back in. So if you don't have the tool like I didn't have the tool, you can just turn it in with pliers and use a C-clamp to put a little pressure on a piston, just a little bit. As you turn it, it'll push it in. It's a little more difficult that way, but it gets the job done. Thank you for being here with me. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the channel. Ring the bell and share our videos. I appreciate your support. God bless you, your families, and your friends. You all take care. Bye-bye.